Hey everyone, Jason Nunn, Fisherman's Warehouse Marine, Sweet Street at Warners Bay, your Newcastle Honda marine dealer. And of course it's Friday because I hung off from yesterday. The weather has been horrible to say the least. Lake looks perfect. Even the poor old pelicans are having a bit of a sleep. They've been getting flogged by all the weather as well. And overcast at the moment, so there's a possibility of some showers later today, but I don't think it's going to be too much with a bit of luck. There's very little wind, and you've got some westerlies early in the morning tomorrow, guys, with a south-southwest wind after lunch, and then a bit more of a southwester into Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly into Thursday next week, everybody, looks like we're going to see some sun, and potentially we might see something around about 23 degrees to dry up what has been a horrible, horrible winter weather-wise. If you're going to get offshore, tomorrow morning is probably going to be the pick. The water's going to be really soapy and a lot of colour to it with all the runoff, but that is a good opportunity to fish for snapper in on these inshore reefs. And I think it's probably safe enough to get out there. That wind will start to abate a bit, but have a good look at it. Make sure you haven't got the continuation of these big east nor'easters coming through. I think they will back off. So inshore, pretty good, and you've got some excellent tides. 8:30 tomorrow morning is going to be a high tide. It's not a big tide. It's only about 1.47. The bigger tides are of the evening, and the low tide is pretty much right on 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. The other advantage is we've just gone through that dark cycle. We're looking for a new moon from Sunday, so it is the pick of the weekends to get out there. So I'm just hoping that it all sort of plans out better. Out wide, there's still just tremendous amount of current, still 3.5 knots of current. Things look pretty good up probably up towards, Seals Rocks, Grouty Head, where we've got that upwelling finally pushing down, but it's going to take a few weeks to get down here, and we've just got to get rid of that current because it's just been a huge problem. There's still some really nice kings down at the Texas and further south, and there will be some reds out on our farm. You've just got to make sure it's safe to get out there. That south-southwester kicking into gear on Sunday morning is going to make it very, very tough. So just be careful. The swell slowly abating, so it gives an advantage now for our rockfishers to get out there, chase some Luderick and drummer and brim and see if there's a few tailor. But I still think there's probably a few reds around on the rocks, so it's a good advantage to get down there early and fish that high tide around about Huppay State tomorrow. It'll be perfect with that westerly wind. Salmon on the beaches, guys. There's still Stockton and further north there. A lot more brim up around that Stockton area, mixed in with tailor and salmon, and of course some mulloway. And I think the beach won't be too bad, because if it is getting in around to that south-southwest on, say, Saturday afternoon into Sunday, you'll get those protected areas like Blacksmiths and Stockton, and no doubt Tea Gardens if you want to travel, where there'll be a lot of water being pushing out. So a lot of fish will get flushed out onto those beach system. So I think it's going to be ideal if you want to do so. A lot of Luderick up around the Port Stephens area at the moment, around Dalboras, which you would expect. Greenweed is going to be very difficult because there's so much washouts that any greenweed that's in the drain is going to be difficult to get. So what it means is you're going to have to sort of get to maybe the lagoon at the back of Belmont there, see if there's any wireweed, or even onto the ocean rocks in the afternoon to maybe get a bit of cabbage. A lot of it would be scoured out from the weather conditions that we've had, but you're just going to have to be persistent because it is Luderick time. Now that we're almost into September, you'll see a real increase in the Luderick fishing, not only off the rocks, but in particularly the estuary itself and Swansea Channel, that Lucy's Wall, down towards the bridge, up to Nauru. All that area there fishes very, very well for Luderick through the latter part of August into September. So we're looking for some really good fishing to come. Last week, of course, in the estuary, a lot of salmon, and the salmon weren't, not only in the Air Force Channel, right the way up to the bridge on that running tide, and there was a lot of colour in the water. But I did get a report after we did our fishing report last week. One of the boys sent me through a message that he was in Salts Bay, and there were a few salmon in Salts Bay. Probably not busting up, guys, but on that run-in tide, you'll see them skulking around on the bottom, but some very nice ones in amongst that. So again, they're starting to spread right out into the channel. Again, with Salts Bay, brim, flathead, and some really nice trevally that are coming in from that island. So you've got some good opportunities to fish the estuary. Back into the lake itself, a lot of flathead, guys, and they're really starting to move around. Once we get into September, I think you're going to start to see a lot more of these flathead start to move back out of the deeper water and start to get into some of the shallow areas, which is typical. It's starting to rain now, as you can sort of see. So it's just about to improve. Some really good tailor still in our lake at the moment, mixed in with some salmon and still some mulloway. And look, the other advantage is as we look coming into September, you'll start to see a build-up of tailor in the lake. So a lot of the tailor, whether they be in the northern end or the southern end, they'll start to gather up. And when they start to gather up in September, you'll see a real increase in mulloway in the lake. So whether you be fishing for them or trolling, and I think trolling is going to be a key advantage because you'll be looking for bait schools and working them through. So mulloway and good flatties in amongst those bait schools. Guys, all in all, unfortunately it's starting to rain again, but with a bit of luck we'll be able to salvage something this weekend. It looks great through the middle of the week. If you've got a day off, let me know. Give me a report, and hopefully when we do the report next Thursday, it ain't raining, and I've got something possibly fantastic to say about the weather and the weekend to come. I'm getting wet. See you next week.